Hi everyone, Peter here from Flow High Performance, and in this video we will be covering why back offsets can be useful for strength training and how these can be implemented into a program. Before we delve into the details of programming back offsets, we first need to understand the components that contribute to maximal strength. There are two adaptations that contribute to maximal strength which are induced by training. The first is neural adaptations. Neural adaptations refer to the trainee's ability to maximally recruit all muscle fibers in a coordinated manner. This is trained using the specific exercise that we want to become stronger at, with heavy loads. Essentially, neural adaptations are specific to what we train for, so we become efficient at the particular exercise that we train. Neural efficiency can be thought of as the skill component of strength training. This is best trained using a slightly higher frequency when the trainee is in a fresh state. High volumes aren't required to become proficient at a particular lift, but the trainee needs to be exposed to the specific lift with heavy loads quite frequently to become maximally efficient. The other contributing factor to strength is structural adaptations. This refers to the size of the muscles involved in the particular lift. The more muscle that a trainee has, the more total amount of tissue there is to contribute to force production. So a bigger muscle has more potential to be strong. Muscle growth is best achieved using higher rep ranges of around 6 and above with lighter loads. While neural adaptations don't require high volumes, muscle growth does. Generally, hypertrophy is best achieved using higher volumes of around 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. Now that we understand the fundamental components of strength, we can explore what back offsets are. Back offsets are essentially when a trainee uses lighter loads for a particular strength lift after performing 1 or 2 sets with a heavier load. For example, a trainee may work up to a heavy set of squats for 150 kilos for 3 reps. Then they may perform 3 additional sets of squats with a load of 130 kilos. So these additional sets with a lighter load are the back offsets. So why would a trainee perform back offsets in their training at all? To understand this, we need to refer back to the components of strength. To maximize neural efficiency, we want to lift heavy loads, and to maximize muscle growth, we need to use higher rep ranges with higher volumes. So the issue a trainee may face is that when lifting heavy loads, neural adaptations are maximized, but higher reps can't be achieved, and multiple sets with heavy loads will usually cause some sort of injury. When using lighter loads, hypertrophy is maximized, but neural adaptations aren't. So using back offsets can allow neural adaptations to be maximized from the heavy loads, while hypertrophy can also be achieved using multiple lighter sets. So why can't we just perform multiple straight sets of heavy loads to achieve both neural and structural adaptations? Well, it makes sense that if we perform enough sets using heavy loads, then we can accumulate enough volume to promote hypertrophy. Since heavy loads with low rep ranges simply don't induce as much hypertrophy per set than higher rep ranges, a higher number of heavy sets would be required to see the same muscle growth. Therefore, trainees can run into 2 primary issues with this. The first is that heavy loads are more taxing on the joints and connective tissue than lighter loads. This means that if we perform multiple sets with heavy loads, we increase the risk of injury in the relevant joints. The second issue is that heavier loads are generally more systemically taxing than lighter loads. This means that if we perform too many sets of heavy loads, we may breach our systemic recovery ability and need to reduce volume. But because we need more volume for muscle growth, we therefore won't achieve maximal gains. So how can back offsets be practically implemented into a training program? Back offsets are generally best to use closer to when an athlete wants to peak for their max strength. This is because heavier loads will be used at this time, which is where we run into the issue of achieving enough volume. So in this case, back offsets can be used to provide additional volume to maintain muscle mass or potentially continue growing muscle mass during a peaking period. This will allow the volume needed without significantly increasing injury risk or breaching systemic recovery capacity. Earlier in a preparation cycle, lighter loads will probably be implemented, meaning that back off sets may not be necessary and straight sets will achieve what we are after. Let's use a practical example to implement back off sets with. For this trainee, we will use the back squat as a strength exercise. Let's say the athlete wants to perform a total of 14 sets for the legs at this point in time and will be squatting 2 times per week. A week of squat training for this trainee may look something like this. As we can see here, the first set of squats uses a load of 150 kilos on day 1 and 140 kilos on day 2. These loads may allow the trainee to perform around 2 to 4 reps and 4 to 6 reps on each day, respectively. These heavier loads will be the best to maximize neural adaptations. After the first set, an additional 3 back off sets have been programmed with a load drop of 20 kilos on each day. This will allow the trainee to perform sets of around 5 to 7 on day 1 and around 7 to 9 reps on day 2. These back off sets can allow additional hypertrophy gains without the excessive stress of lifting heavy loads. Then finally, an additional 3 sets of leg press have been programmed for extra volume to make up the total amount of 14 sets that was required. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you got something out of this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already.